COP26 is special. It's a COP which is taking place after 2 years in the midst of the COVID pandemic, or hopefully its wane, at a time when the IPCC has raised matters to code red. The world has become more conscious that climate change is happening and it is impacting us, even though during the COVID pandemic, the world saw an unprecedented fall in its growth, India included. Despite this, we saw the ravages of climate change affect all of us. This is the scenario. And then something very special politically. Soon after the Paris Agreement, the largest player in the game, the United States of America, pulled out. And now the importance, the real significance in terms of global burden sharing and coming together happened because the United States rejoined. I think we must not underestimate what that country means, both in terms of its emissions, in terms of its energy consumption, its powers, in terms of global influence, as well as finance and security. So COP26 is special. In every single way it's special. It's also held in Great Britain, which itself is going through its Brexit things. It's being held in Europe, which is a major climate active place. And then what do we see in this COP? I think we have seen that while the United States, in a sense, came back to what it had promised earlier, the Europeans have gone further. We've seen other countries also taking things. But I'm very happy to see my country, India, also take bold and ambitious steps. The Prime Minister announcing major ambitious targets, not in the long run. Not in the long run, I want to underline that, but in the immediate next 1 decade time, which really is the need of the hour. Immediate action. And then, of course, taking on a big global target, net zero in 2070, which, given India's development imperatives, given the need for India to be able to use more energy, is a bold and ambitious step. India, has taken suo motu action to help the world combat climate change. I think the greatest one was a decision taken domestically a few years back to have 450 gigawatts of renewable energy in the country, which the Prime Minister upped to 500 when he addressed the COP. Many people, many countries find that disbelievable, and many think that this was a very ambitious target. But we are achieving it. Look at what India has been able to achieve. And that, I believe, through the power of having done it, the role model approach that we are able to do. Look what we've done in renewable energies. We've ensured that today in India, electricity produced through the renewable route is the cheapest form of electric power in India during the daylight hours. With batteries and other things coming about, it will also become the most competitive form of electric power generation in India. And who is looking at it? The entire developing world is looking at it, because they all want to see somebody having done it, so that with a sense of confidence, you can embark upon this technology. Risking is an issue. Risk is an issue. This becomes de-risked as a result of what India has done. India has also done something other than this tremendous, huge, big thing. We've initiated action on a national hydrogen mission. Now, whether we like it or not, I think we seem to have identified that the carbon element is going to be replaced by the hydrogen element in terms of fueling the world in the future. And India has decided, again suo motu domestically, that we will be in the lead and right up front in front with a massive hydrogen mission. We're also undertaking a great deal of electrification. Our railways are going electric, one of the world's largest railway networks. In 10 years will be fully electric. Look at the kinds of savings in terms of the differential from the BAU in terms of what we will be doing. And then, I must say, while all our focus, including mine and what I told you today, is all about mitigation, reducing emissions of GHG, the intensity in the economy, and so on, we forget that South Asia and India in particular are extremely vulnerable to climate change. Even as the COVID pandemic raged, and we saw a fall in economic output in terms of our GDP and so on, what did we see? That the ravages of nature did not stop. And these continue to be havoc as a result of the amount of carbon dioxide which is already sequestrated in the atmosphere and which continues to play a role and will continue to play a role. So India has got to be the champion not only in the area of renewables, where we have done great things, including the International Solar Alliance, but in terms of resilience and adaptation. And there too we've taken our own steps, the CDRI which we've formed. But above all of this, we have to be focused on adaptation and accept that it is a matter of great priority, not just for India, but for the entire developing world. I was very happy that at this COP, on the renewables, we launched this thing called partnership between One Sun, One World and One Grid, along with the green global grids of Great Britain. But we also launched something else, an initiative called IRIS, which is about resilient infrastructure and sustainable, resilient infrastructure in small island developing states who have no contribution to climate change but are the most vulnerable and those who would be the most impacted. It's India in solidarity with the world. You know, in the climate world, the general buzzword always used to be, while governments would be willing, civil society is very keen, activists want it done yesterday, industry actually drags its feet. But what have we seen in India? TERI put together a coalition of 50 of India's most important companies who are involved and stakeholders in climate. And this happened several months back. And they've all pledged to try and ensure that they move towards net zero by 2050, if not earlier or later or whenever. This includes some companies from those sectors which the world calls hard to abate. In fact, we have one of the world's largest cement companies which has said that they will be carbon negative by the year 2040, not just net zero. This is the kind of commitment Indian industry has taken, and we believe in TERI that this nurturing can be multiplied 50 to 500 to 5,000. And not only can they thereafter become role models in terms of what India can do, but become role models for the world. Let me also say something to it. It is without any doubt that the interest of the industry, the fact that they are seeing the world moving in a particular direction, has spurred them. But it has also spurred the government into action. Now, with the kind of announcements which have been made by the government, policy frameworks would be set which would encourage the early movers, the front runners in the area of green. And Indian industry, to my mind, is not only willing but is already there.